Before we get into the latest NFL trade news and rumors, we will be live for the NFL trade deadline this year, so do not miss out. Hit that sub button. We'll have live coverage for you all afternoon tomorrow with all the latest news and rumors. If you want to tune in, hit that sub button for me right now. Latest rumors to come, but first, trade details that have gone down moments before filming. Baron Browning, the edge rusher, heading from the Denver Broncos to the Arizona Cardinals. He's a solid football player. Value is pretty cheap. Probably won't be a super long-term piece. He's due for a new contract in the near future. Maybe he's a long-term piece. Who knows? For Arizona. No complaints about this deal for either side. Denver didn't need him. He's a fine asset for Arizona who needs pass rush help. Makes sense. We will probably not see the end of the edge rusher trades, by the way. Maybe even not today in terms of moves to come. Keep an eye on Za'Darius Smith, in particular, the Detroit Lions. Now, he's been on the trade block in trade rumors for a while now. Mike Florio reporting the Browns are expected to trade him to the Lions today. The phrase was tonight or tomorrow. He said that last night, so we're down to today because it didn't happen last night. And this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone if/when it ends up going down. The Lions need another pass rusher. That's been made pretty clear for a while. As soon as Aiden Hutchinson went down, they just don't have the horses at defensive end on the edge to get after the top teams to help their legitimate Super Bowl chances. And the Browns are not a good team. The Jameis Winston ride was fun for a game. Now it's back to not being fun, which, maybe went the way you thought it was going to go with some of the mistakes they got away with in the first game. So trading away a piece like Za'Darius Smith does make sense. You're going to move on from your short-term assets and then just figure out what you're going to do in 2025 is maybe still up for grabs there. Smith is off to a solid start. 5 sacks this year in just 9 games played. That's trending towards fringe double-digit production. That's valuable. And among the actually available pass rushers, not Max Crosby, not Myles Garrett, not Micah Parsons, Smith is probably the best one. Apologies to Arden Key, maybe a Preston Smith. Za'Darius as a trade chip makes all the sense in the world. So from right now, we will not count the Baron Browning trade. Over or under 8.5 trades between now and the NFL trade deadline. O for over, U for under. It'll be the pinned comment on today's show. So if the ad comes on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Sticking in Cleveland, Albert Breer reporting there has been interest in a trade for Browns cornerback Greg Newsome, and there might even be some mutual interest for the different parties involved there. Newsome has been a bit banged up over the course of his NFL career, but he is a good football player. He is an upgrade for a lot of NFL teams out there. On the outside, he's had a solid career overall. He's not the biggest interception machine, but he's normally pretty sticky in coverage. Potential issue here is the contract. He's only due about $1.5 million the rest of the season. I'm just going to round to the halfway point, basically. But the Browns have already picked up his 5th-year option at over $13 million. That's probably not that bad to pay if a team loves Greg Newsome, but it is something that has to be acknowledged for a potential Browns-Newsome trade. Other names that have been circulated out there from different reporters, Florio mentioned David Njoku, which I think would be a little bit weird since that's like a multi-year piece that doesn't have a player behind him. Like Newsome's got, Denzel Ward they've paid. Martin Emerson's having a solid year. Njoku's under contract for this year and next year. He's only 28 years old, or he's in his age 20 season, I should say. And I'd be a little shocked if he got flipped, given the fact that the Browns, from a contract perspective, really don't benefit at all from moving on from him. Although his cap hit gets expensive next year, which is a conversation the Browns will have a lot. Elijah Moore wouldn't be a huge surprise there. He's been on the block. They already traded away Amari Cooper. Maybe they could move on for more too. Dalvin Tomlinson should command interest if they want to move on there. Again, there's some contract stuff to figure out. But the Browns are sellers, like several teams should be sellers this year. Now, today's show is made possible by Game Time. If you're going to a sporting event, whether that is football, basketball, MLB down the line once it comes back, a little under a year from now, Game Time is the place to go. Check out their new feature. It's Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets, see your favorite teams play live, even easier. It filters out the fluff to only show you the incredible deals on great seats. Don't waste time searching through thousands of different tickets. It is curation. It's that simple. The all-in pricing feature shows your total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout, so you can actually know what you're going to pay. They will also give you $20 off your first purchase when you use code CHATSPORTS. Download the Game Time app today, create your account, use that code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, GameTime.co to create your account, CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS as the code for $20 off your first purchase. Go download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Let's go to Marshon Lattimore. This one very interesting. In light of the Dennis Allen firing news. My boy Trizzy Trace, very excited over on our Saints channel because he doesn't like Dennis Allen. The Lattimore trade rumors are back, in part because Mike Florio and others had said that there was some interest there. Adam Schefter said teams have called. The Chiefs have been linked. That makes some sense. A team that just fired their head coach is clearly cooked this season, but is going to maybe be in a rebuilding phase next year. We'll see if the Saints actually embrace that. It sets up well to just be terrible in 2025, eat all of that dead cap you've been pushing off, and then accept the reality of you're going to be rebuilding in 2025, 2026, and maybe favorite son Arch Manning is good enough in 2026 to come back home. We'll see. That's a much further down the line thing. While there is interest from teams because he's super cheap for 2024, the contract is not a great tradable contract for the New Orleans Saints. The new team would pay just over $600,000. It's super cheap. It's basically the vet minimum. And then non-guaranteed salaries of $18 million, $18.5 in 2025, 2026. That is affordable as a rental, or if you want to keep them long-term. You can totally make that work. The issue is the Saints don't really save much money. It's basically a net zero between this year and next year in the dead money versus the cap savings. They just, or the cap that was going to be paid. They just don't save any money because if they were going to trade him, they should have done it before the year began. That would have saved them just under $14 million by doing so. But they let the option bonus hit, and now they owe that no matter what. It just puts the Saints in an awkward spot of, are they going to sell? Are they going to fire sell? Can they save money over the next 2 years when they've kicked the can probably a little bit more extreme than they should have done? They probably should have taken the Rams approach to the salary cap, which was aggressive, but they took their medicine. If Lattimore gets traded, it'll probably have to be a pretty expensive pick. Otherwise, it just doesn't make much sense for the Saints. So predictions. Will the Saints move on from Marshon Lattimore? Y for yes, N for no. Get those predictions in for me. Where else with the comment section? Y for M. Finally, Adam Thielen trade rumors. Carolina did not play Thielen. Hamstring injury, a valid reason for the rationale there. But the trade rumors on him are certainly not going to start. Here's what Albert Breer reported on a potential Thielen trade. He's an interesting one, with rumblings out there that his camp would like to get him to a contender, and Carolina is open to the idea of moving vets. Another Panthers receiver who could be traded would be potential reclamation project Jonathan Mingo, by the way. Thielen was a 1,000-yard receiver last year, and he has been banged up this year, which does make things complicated. What is the proper trade value for an older receiver who has been, when healthy, fringe 1,000-yard campaign guy, is due about $3 million this year? You can easily cut him next year if you want to move on. But it's a little bit dicey in terms of the value, figuring out what he's worth. Is there a ton of interest for a player like him? The answer is probably yes. The receiver market's very much dried out right now. Mike Williams, see if the Jets move him after the Allen Lazard injury. Steelers could be calling interest. I don't know if the Chiefs are fully done making moves at wide receiver after now Sky Moore got hurt. There's possibilities of more movement involving players like Adam Thielen before this year's NFL trade deadline. Receiver market's a bit thin. Could be some interest there. And if you're Carolina, it makes sense to just get your assets. You're not really worried about trying to make Bryce Young maximized because you already benched him once. So before we go, a question for you in the audience, in the comment section. Go answer it. Name a player who you think ends up getting traded. Any player, any team. Let me know who you think gets dealt in the next 24-ish hours.